Everybody knows new cars are tough to find right now. Know this too. Since 1907, the Garber family of dealerships has been uniting customers with their dream ride. DriveGarber.com has hundreds of vehicles available now, with more arriving daily. Plus, Garber can help you reserve your perfect vehicle and offer you the most for your trade. It's the strength of 7 dealerships delivering on one promise.
Everybody knows you'll do better at Garber.
I'm Erica Foley.
I'm Joel Williams.
And I'm Kevin Parker, and this is the Garber Garage. At Garber, our dedication to service, customers, and the community in general doesn't end at the dealership. Since 1907, we've made it our mission to serve the customer in every facet of the car buying experience.
That's why we'd like to invite you into the Garber Garage, our brand new video series designed to inform you about one of your largest expenditures, your vehicle.
We'll go over financing, online shopping, delivery, insurance, upgrades, and electrification, just to name a few.
So welcome. It's our proud honor to invite you into the Garber Garage.
With any new car, there's always the question of purchase versus lease, and it can be tough to answer. With a lease, you're typically getting more vehicle for a lower monthly payment, whereas with buying, your larger payment eventually turns into an asset. Let's go over the nuts and bolts of both. Kevin, Erica, so many people come into our dealerships today and they ask, should I buy or should I lease? What are the advantages of leasing for a customer, Kevin?
Well, there's a lot of advantages, and I don't know if there's a right answer, so we never want to push leasing on everyone, but about 60% of our customers we find do like the leasing because of many options, and one of them is traditionally it has a much lower monthly payment, and also it allows them to get into a vehicle more frequently every 3 years or so with the latest and greatest technology.
Yeah, absolutely. With leasing, you know, there's some financial obligation and restrictions. What if a customer wants to get out of their lease early, Erica? What options do they have?
They have a number of options, which is really great. I think that's one of the other advantages about leasing is the fact that they have more options in a much shorter amount of time frame than if they were to purchase a vehicle. A lot of times they're coming in and they don't have nearly as much obligation left on that lease versus if they were to take a loan out for 5 or 6 years. And so getting into another vehicle out of a lease is pretty easy.
What about at the end of the lease and a customer says, oh, my lifestyle changed, I drove over the miles. What penalties do those customers incur, and what can the dealer do to help?
Well, the 3 options they have at the end of the lease is to buy it for an agreed-upon amount known as residual, and that is set from the manufacturer up front. That's their first option. The second option is to turn it in if it's worth less than that or they want something else. Then those miles become a factor, and generally it's anywhere from 10 to 20 cents a mile depending on the manufacturer. So we do have to take that in consideration. But oftentimes if they're releasing another same brand, they'll have loyalty money, and a lot of the manufacturers will work with somebody. But we want to find out up front, what is your lifestyle? We realize it may change. Those are the people that tend to get frustrated and say, I don't want to lease because they had a bad experience. And generally, it's because their lifestyle changed and or the salesperson they were working with didn't ask enough questions and put them in the proper lease.
That makes sense. You know, a lot of customers, when they sit down with our brand specialists are trained to go over 10 or 12 or 15,000 mile options. Are there options for people that drive 20 or 25,000 miles a year?
Absolutely. You know, the old stigma of leasing is that, oh, I can only drive X or I can only drive this. And I think that's what drives a lot of people away from it, truthfully. Yeah. The other thing to be said about that is that when you get into a higher mileage lease, maybe the payment isn't quite as attractive as a traditional lease of maybe a 10,000 mile or 12,000 mile a year lease. But absolutely, we see it every day.
So Kevin, back to you. What would you add on the benefits of leasing versus the buying aspect, which customers are traditionally known to do?
Well, I just think it's really a consultant time with the customer to find out what's their driving habits. If the last 3 vehicles they've had have been around that 3-year mark, then we want to sit down and do math with them and say, if we took a 5 or a 6-year loan out on this vehicle that you like, your payment is X, and on a lease, it's this much lower. And so we like to just do math, and then we don't want to push. It doesn't matter to us necessarily what they do, but a lot of people do it because it makes financial sense and it gets them into a new vehicle much sooner than they could on a traditional loan.
Just tossing this up to both of you guys. You know, what are the benefits to the manufacturer, the customer, and the dealer when you lease a vehicle?
Well, I think one of the biggest benefits to the customers, they have more options more frequently, and they have an opportunity to be able to get into a vehicle typically with less financial obligation. And they have an option to be able to get into a vehicle that's, again, latest, greatest technology, safety, all of that, and they can do it in a much shorter time frame as opposed to an obligation to a buy.
So for the customer, it's better because of the monthly payment and the things that Erica said. It's also good for us as the dealership because they have to do something in 3 years. They've got to make a decision. Am I going to buy it? Am I going to turn it in? Am I going to get another vehicle? So it puts them into the market. So from a dealership standpoint, we like that. And for the manufacturer, the same reason for the dealer, the customer, there's a good chance that they're going to get into another vehicle, hopefully the same one. But if not, and that vehicle the customer doesn't buy, either the dealership can buy it or the manufacturer can, and it becomes good used vehicles for them to put at their auctions.
So if I understand you guys correctly, there's a lot of benefits for both the dealer and the customer, and as well as the manufacturer. One being you get to turn in your car after 3 years or whatever the agreed upon lease term is. You can choose to buy it out at the end if you fall in love with the car, or you can just rid your hands of it because the manufacturer owns that financial obligation.
Correct. And I think it's a win-win-win for everybody.
No, all the way around. Thanks, guys.
Garber was named one of the top 100 best dealerships by Automotive News. Come see for yourself why we're Western New York's #1 Honda dealer year after year.
Everybody knows you'll do better at Garber.
If you're looking for effortless, life-enhancing technology and safety with some of the most exquisite interiors in the business, you're looking for Volvo. At Volvo Cars Rochester, we offer you a truly personalized experience throughout your ownership journey. Our associates care about our clientele and the community we serve every day. Visit us in-store or online at VolvoCarsRochester.com.
Everybody knows you'll do better at Garber.
Getting a new vehicle is an investment, no matter how you go about it. And making sure your vehicle lives up to your expectations can take a bit of planning. We'll clarify how different life circumstances pair with different vehicle purchase strategies to help you make the best decision for you. So one of the things that has really been prevalent, especially in light of, many things not being at our fingertips anymore, and that's inventory. And what we've been seeing is a spike, I think, in certified pre-owned vehicles, or CPO is what we refer to them as. And there have been more of those available than our new inventory, and I think our consumers are becoming a lot more understanding of that, but they need to replace their vehicles. I mean, it is what it is. So certified pre-owned has been a phenomenal option for a number of our customers. So we have been running into customers asking about the expense that comes with a certified pre-owned vehicle. Are they typically more expensive than a traditional pre-owned vehicle?
Yes, and I think the reason is that each manufacturer has a criteria, and the checklist is anywhere from 120 to 150 different points that have to be checked, and they're performed by certified mechanics. So if you're at a Honda dealership, it would be a certified Honda technician. He is the person that has to, or she, that has to check every one of those boxes off in order to do that. And it's a much more rigid criteria. It can't have a dent. It can't have a torn interior. If the brakes need to be replaced, even though they look still pretty good, we're going to put new ones on there. And the same goes with tires. So the reconditioning cost for a certified pre-owned oftentimes is thousands more than a traditional vehicle that doesn't meet those criteria, and therefore, yes, the price is traditionally more, but they also get an extended service contract from the manufacturer built into the price, and often that's something you consider after you bought the car. It's standard when you buy a certified pre-owned.
And I think that's big, especially with the rising cost of everything that we're seeing right now, right? I mean, just even food, realistically. Now, KP had mentioned the warranty. Let's talk about some of the benefits of the certified pre-owned vehicles that we offer.
So they're slightly different than our normal used car inventory, and Kevin touched on it, the reconditioning process. It has to go through a manufacturer-based checklist, which is anywhere from 120 to 150 upwards of checklists that car has to pass. And if it doesn't, those parts or trim items have to be replaced in order for us to remarket those things. In addition, people like brand names. Apple, you like Apple, and you like Apple products. Samsung, you like Samsung products. When you're going to buy a certified pre-owned Honda, you have to buy it from a Honda dealership, or a Chevrolet. It has to be from a Chevrolet dealership. Now, there are some companies that are consolidating these things, and they're not going to be just a Chevrolet certified. They're going to be a quote-unquote Car Bravo certified, or there's other companies out there that are doing certified vehicles, but it's not by the manufacturer, it's just by the company. So take a look at those and see what the checklist of reconditioning that they have to go through to meet the certification process as well.
Yeah, and I think there is something to be said that you're getting a certified pre-owned vehicle from a Honda store backed by a Honda technician. They live and breathe these vehicles day in and day out, and you know they know these cars better than maybe, you know, a Chevy store down the road, or a Volvo store for that matter. You know, they know these cars.
Absolutely. And I think I just wanted to add something.
Yeah,
didn't mean to interrupt, but what Joel said is a mouthful. Regardless of what manufacturer you're choosing, if you're a Toyota person or a Chevy, it doesn't matter. But be transparent. Ask to see what it is they've had to do to make that vehicle, because sometimes if you're just searching online and you're like, why is this one so much more? If it's certified, it's probably been better reconditioned, but it's always a good idea when buying any used vehicle, if you ask to see, what did you do to this vehicle? Does it have brakes all the way around or just front brakes? Does it have all tires? So it's always a good idea to find out, and I'll tell you, in most cases, in certified pre-owned, new brakes, new tires, and the car is as close to new as you'll find.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, you know, we keep going back to the, you know, the inventory lull for everything. Laptops, these microchips are really slowing us down. We're not immune to it here in Rochester, New York. I think you guys would agree with that, right?
Absolutely.
So, you know, because of that, we've been asked a lot more by our consumers, can you lease a certified pre-owned vehicle? I don't know that it's really prevalent in this market particularly, but is that an option?
It certainly is an option. It's a small niche customer that fits into those parameters where we believe it's beneficial to that customer. Now, you need to see your dealer, your manufacturer, and see what those guidelines are and get consulted on that process. But like I said, it's a very small percentage of customers that it would actually be a benefit to lease that car as opposed to just buy it outright on a traditional 60 or 72-month loan.
Sure, and I don't think many of the manufacturers offer anything that is, most manufacturers anyways, don't offer anything that is, you know, certified pre-owned lease specifically, but there are lenders out there that do it, which is really good to know. Now, you know, one of the other things that has come up because of the inventory lulls with the new cars is that certified pre-owned vehicles being just as much sometimes as a new car, but a lot of times we're still seeing that gap where the certified pre-owned, you're still getting a great car with very, very low miles, and you're still getting that extended warranty and that extra backing by the manufacturer.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, traditionally the certified pre-owned is going to be as close to a new vehicle as possible. Traditionally, It's a little less because it is pre-owned. It has had some miles. If it was a rare situation where someone moved out of the area or traded in a vehicle with a 2,000 or 3,000 miles, it might be close to the brand new vehicle, but it would also come with an extended service contract that becomes even longer than what the manufacturer did when it was brand new. But in most cases, you're able to save a little bit of money by going certified pre-owned, and that initial depreciation's been taken by somebody else, and the consumer who buys this one can save some money.
Excellent.
A little advice to consumers when they're looking at a used versus a certified pre-owned. Everyone's on a budget. Kevin, no more than yourself. I mean, of the round table, you're probably on the biggest budget here. But the customers have to look at what you're going to spend for a used versus a certified pre-owned and think, is it better to spend more than I planned or less than I should?
Well said.
Yeah, here. I think you should pay a little bit more and get the extended service contract and have the brakes already done so that you're not surprised in maybe a year and you have to do them when you're getting them a brand new, as if it was a brand new vehicle.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys.
If you want the new car excitement to last and last, Audi Rochester has exactly what you're looking for. Extraordinary engineering and design are just the beginning. Your premium online experience now includes Audi at your door for convenient sales, service, and even test drives. Luxury is waiting at Audi Rochester on West Henrietta Road and online at AudiRochester.com.
Everybody knows you'll do better at Garber.
So what's the 411 on these types of vehicles? Oversimplified, ICE stands for internal combustion engine, your typical gas-fueled engine. It's also a usual component in hybrid vehicles. BEVs, on the other hand, utilize only their onboard battery for power. This is a 100% electric vehicle. We'll weigh in on the benefits and challenges facing all types of vehicle power configurations.
In this segment, I'd like to talk a little bit about the evolution of battery electric vehicles and the manufacturers are going to them. For years, we've had gas engine. You go to the gas station, you put your gas in, and you're on the way. And of course, there's hybrids, which is a combination of both. So I'd like to talk a little bit about the different technologies. So Joel, what is your thoughts on battery electric vehicles and hybrids?
Well, first and foremost, we've been traditionally accustomed to the gas engine, the IC, the internal combustion engine, and that's what most dealers had for a long time. But with the rising gas prices that we have now, and people doing less commuting back and forth, the electric vehicle has been a big push. Most manufacturers today have at least one to market right now. I would say 90%, and those other 10% are bringing them to market in the next year or so. So this is going to be the future of our auto industry, and for some great reasons.
So Erica, I know that Joel just mentioned that most manufacturers have one or two vehicles, but talk to me about some of the manufacturers that are kind of, for all due lack of better words, going all in on electric vehicles.
Yeah, I mean, as we know, Tesla is kind of the trailblazer for this, right? I mean, they've been around for several years and they're, all electric. But the manufacturers that have been producing nothing but gas engines, there's a handful that are making a real big promise and stepping up in a really big way to make sure that they're being competitive with that. One of them being Volvo. I believe Audi is another one that's really making a stance saying, hey, I mean Chevy, they're making a big stance saying we're going to be committed to producing battery electric vehicles on an exponentially larger level than they ever have, and some of the manufacturers are committing to be 100% electric in the next 10 years. So that's pretty substantial. That's a statement, in my opinion.
Hear, hear. And I think today's ranges are somewhere between 300 and 500, but there's a lot of manufacturers and independent companies that are working on that technology to get it up to 700 or even 800. But Joel, today if someone buys one, there's a real thing called range anxiety. And what happens, where do they charge it at their house, and how much does it cost? And just talk a little bit about range anxiety and charging.
Yeah, it's a real thing, Kevin. Range anxiety, FOMO, okay, I'm missing out on this party, I can't get to this place. It's a real thing. But the manufacturers have noticed that, and they've responded. Not only are they, some manufacturers helping with putting in a charging station at home. So when you buy an electric vehicle, they'll send you to a nice electrician, and you can get one of these installed for $500 to $2,000, and that's a one-time investment. Or some are actually paying for it themselves. And these things will charge overnight for you. So when you wake up in the morning to get to work or wherever you're going, you've got a fully charged 300, 400, 500-mile range. Not only is that investment, the country is also making investments into the infrastructure as a whole. Michigan, Utah, Florida, Indiana. They're testing technology right now, so when you're driving on the highway, that will actually charge your vehicle.
Wow.
And this is coming to a theater near us. In Detroit, there's going to be a mile-long strip by 2023 that will charge your electric vehicle as you drive on it.
That's just unbelievable. So Joel talked a little bit, Erica, about when you're traveling and charging, and that's kind of cool that they're starting with 1 mile. But let's say I'm taking a long road trip in my battery electric vehicle. How do I know where to go? Is there applications, or does the car tell you?
Yeah. So the manufacturers have done a really nice job partnering with a couple of companies to offer applications to be able to find the charging stations. And some of the companies are also actually partnering with larger companies that are, vastly. Starbucks is one of them, right? Volvo's made a commitment to partner with Starbucks to have charging stations at all of their Starbucks. So you can go in there, get a cup of coffee, read some emails, do a little bit of work, and then get back on the road pretty quickly.
And so let's talk about that for a little bit. If I charge it overnight, that's great, but if I'm on a road trip, how long when I go to one of these places, whether it's Starbucks or hopefully right off the highway if I'm trying to get somewhere, how long does it take to really charge my vehicle to get me back on the road?
Well, it depends on which charger, what kind of capacity that particular charger has. So there are some chargers out there, and typically that's what you're going to see when you are traveling, where you can charge in anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes, and you're back on the road, and you got about 80% battery left, and you can go, another, few hundred miles on that.
And on that note, there's a lot of things for the consumer to help with this charging. In the older days, you bring out your map when you're traveling, and you pinpoint, and you take the highway in this. Now we're using Google, and now most of the people are using Waze. There are apps out there. So Charge America and ChargePoint, you can map out your trip based on where the charging stations are, and it'll tell you whether it's a fast charger or a normal charger. So if you need a extended time, you take that when you get there.
That's excellent. And so on an electric vehicle, I'm not going to obviously have to change the oil, which means I'm not going to be going to the dealership as much. Erica, what do you really have to do to a battery electric vehicle if I was to buy one from a maintenance standpoint?
Sure. No, you're 100% correct. You know, the whole premise behind this, right, is sustainability and making sure that people can stay on the road. But they're still going to require maintenance. Tires, right? I mean,
sure.
They're seasonal, and that's seasonal for a reason. So that we need to make sure that they're still changing their tires, they're rotating them, making sure rims, everything else from a mechanical standpoint on the vehicle is operating correctly. But then they're also going to need to make sure that the battery is inspected to make sure that it's, you know, operating it to its maximum potential.
So less money, that's a great advantage. A little more upfront when you buy these vehicles, because they are today a little bit more than your gas engines, but there are benefits when you look at the reduced maintenance. So let's talk about some terminology. So if you're reading an article or you hear something on television and they're referring to ICE vehicles, what's an ICE vehicle?
It's an internal combustion engine, our traditional gas engines that we see every day.
So when you hear ICE, that's what that means. So Joel, what does BEV mean?
Battery electric vehicle. And there's also one vehicle that's in the middle, a hybrid, a PEV.
I feel like this is your favorite.
Yeah, PEV. Just say it out loud a few times. But the plug-in hybrid electric vehicle, which combines both the internal combustion engine and the battery electric.
So there are manufacturers that are going 100%, not everybody, but down the road, I think as these batteries continue to improve, I definitely think there's a battery electric vehicle in the future for almost everyone.
I'm Joel Williams, and I'd like to introduce you to a brand new Subaru experience right here in Webster. Garber Subaru makes car buying stress-free. From a friendly, knowledgeable staff to customized shopping tools to fit your needs, Subaru is the most trusted brand for the 7th straight year. So find the Subaru you'll love today. Garber Subaru, Ridge Road in Webster, and online at garbersubaru.com.
Everybody knows you'll do better at Garber.
Garber Honda received an extra allocation of new vehicles from the factory, and they're arriving daily on West Henrietta Road. See for yourself why we're #1 in Rochester.
Everybody knows you'll do better at Garber.
There are currently 5 different levels of autonomous driving. The lower levels are features you'll find in a large percentage of current vehicles. Lane departure warnings, radar-assisted cruise control, and preventative braking, to name a few. But the days of getting into a vehicle and simply announcing where you want to go, well, they're coming as well. We'll discuss Level 0, Level 5, and everything in between, including projected timelines, new ownership scenarios, as well as safety implications. Kevin, Erica, in today's day and age with the automotive industry, safety features are a big proponent of it. And each manufacturer has, each year over year, included more standard safety features, brake mitigation, lane keeping assist. But one of the big topics is autonomous driving. Kevin, what's the difference between semi-autonomous and autonomous?
Well, that's a great question, Joel, and you're right. Every year it seems like more and more vehicles are having these features standard. Fully autonomous is still pretty early. There's only a handful of manufacturers that have them out there where you literally could take your hands off it. They still want you alert. You can't take a nap or read the paper, but it'll literally drive for you. It'll go around curves. It'll slow down if a car's in front of you. So that's still evolving, and I think it'll come to a point where you just announce where you want to go. Semi-autonomous driving, most of the newer cars today have that, and what that's meant for is that maybe that moment where you're distracted or you've looked in the back seat to interact with someone and you've gone out of your lane, it will keep you in your lane, and that's a big feature, and it's pretty cool technology.
Talking about that technology, keeping you in your lane, there's another term that we use in the automotive industry, adaptive cruise control. Does that fall in line with semi-autonomous as well?
Absolutely, 100%. You know, people that take long distance drives, you know, travel with their family. I will be doing that very quickly here, regularly. But the nice part is that when you have a vehicle that does the, you know, the adaptive cruise, thank you. it allows you to be able to focus on a lot of other things that are happening on the road right around you, the people that are coming up next to you, the potential person that doesn't have the safety features and they're coming into your lane. It allows you to really focus on that and not necessarily have to continue to brake every time you come up behind somebody. Truthfully, it helps with a lot of fatigue, and it allows you to get to your destination much safer and awake.
Absolutely. Fatigue and awake. You know, a lot of things that get thrown around when you're going on these long distance trips. Do you guys think this safety feature is here to stay? It's great for the future? What are your opinions on it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't see it going away. I think if you, once you have this in your vehicle and you know how it works, and I think that's an important part, when you take delivery of a vehicle that has this, the brand specialist you're working with needs to tell you, because some of the manufacturers, the seats rumble, or the steering wheel, or it makes a noise, and what it's trying to do is say, hey, you're going out of your lane. It tries to wake you up. So it's really cool, but I think once you've had this, it would be like going back in time if you didn't have it in your next vehicle. So this is here to stay, no question about it.
Absolutely. I think a lot more manufacturers are just trying to really integrate the full autonomous or semi-autonomous driving into every single vehicle, because again, safety, that's where it's at. Everybody needs a car for the most part, right? But what do they want to do? They want to get there safe. They want to get them there safely with their family and everybody that's around them as well.
No, absolutely. And I think when people take trips, long distance or even short distance trips, there's always someone that's complaining about the driver. The driver drives too fast, drives too slow, weaves in and out of traffic. You know, this kind of technology really helps with those moments. And when you're on long distance trips, I like to think of it as the handle. You no longer need that.
Yeah, no, it'll keep you in your lane, and you're not going to have that. The thing that's funny about the fully autonomous driving is that it does a phenomenal job of predicting and seeing things that go into you, but there's going to be the rare case where a tree got blown down or something fell off the back of a vehicle. But overall, when you look at the safety that this technology brings, it's 99.9% going to be effective, but there's always going to be that little something that might happen that makes someone says, aha, I knew it. But it reacts a lot quicker. It can brake quicker than a human being can by putting their foot down. Oftentimes you start to brake and it's already braking for you. This technology will make it safer for the passengers in your vehicles and those around you. No question about it.
Yeah, you know, we talked about the cruise control, right? And how it's adaptive and those things. But, you know, some of the technology that the manufacturers are coming out with where the computer kind of thinks, you know, 2 or 3 steps ahead of you. That's why it happens so quickly, right? The human mind happens like this, but the computer thinks in a fraction of that snap. And it gives you an opportunity to, you know, again, just make sure you're staying safe with everybody.
Wow, has technology advanced today, and this semi and fully autonomous driving, it's here to stay. They're going to keep making advances on this, but I can't wait to see what the future looks like on it.
Yeah, I agree, and I'll tell you that when customers come in, we obviously need to find out what they're using the vehicle for. Some people need trucks because they haul stuff or they pull stuff, and some want sports car. But there's one common theme no matter what they're looking for, and that's safety. And that's what is happening with this autonomous and semi-autonomous and all of these other safe features. It's going to keep you safer.
To that point on safety, another big benefit of it, lowers your insurance rates.
Absolutely.
Everyone loves saving money.
Absolutely.
Thanks, guys.
We opened this garage to do one thing.
Keep car buyers as informed as possible about the automotive ownership world.
We hope we lived up to that today. And we hope you'll join us again next time.
Here in the Garber Garage.
Everybody knows new cars are tough to find right now. Know this too. Since 1907, the Garber family of dealerships has been uniting customers with their dream ride. DriveGarber.com has hundreds of vehicles available now, with more arriving daily. Plus, Garber can help you reserve your perfect vehicle and offer you the most for your trade. It's the strength of 7 dealerships delivering on one promise.
Everybody knows you'll do better